The question is the CEO functioning in a coherent way, in an orderly, progressive way, or an incoherent way? Is it coherent, integrated, or incoherent? This is the key. And it's the prefrontal cortex which we want to focus on, because it is the one that makes us most human with all those great qualities. The next slide would indicate that the question about the CEO is how much it is actually online. Everybody has a CEO. The question is, how functional is it? The analogy here is with computer technology. When we had dial-up some time ago, some faint memory of dial-up, we thought we were hot stuff. We thought, oh, we're connected to the universe. I can do emails, I can download stuff. This is great. Now, if you think about dial-up, it's like some bad dream. You don't want to even think that we actually did dial-up at some point. And actually, broadband and DSL is only the beginning of what we're going to be able to accomplish, not only technology, but in the human brain. So the question is, being online is a relative consideration. How much online is a consideration? And of course, it takes about 25 years under the best circumstances to get anybody's CEO online. And those 25 years are those precious years that education has to help that happen. And if you ask your students, what are the responsibilities of their CEO? What are your responsibilities of your CEO? They fall into these categories. Your prefrontal cortex, your CEO, is your sense of self. It means, are your students awake? Do they have self-confidence? Do they have self-esteem? Is somebody in your classroom ready and willing to listen to you? What about the values? Prefrontal cortex structures your values. What are the values of the child? Does it care to be in classroom? Does it think is any worthwhile time being spent in the classroom? Or is he dreaming and daydreaming about after school? Once you have values structured by your CEO, what are the motivations? Will the child participate in your lesson plan? Is he motivated to actually engage the knowledge that you've prepared for him or her? And then decision making. In class, we keep structuring opportunities to make decisions. And as the CEO comes more and more online, those decisions become more mature and more comprehensive and more life-supporting and less risky. And then finally, self-control. A 2-year-old has very little self-control, but most of us outgrow that. And as we do outgrow that, we become less impulsive, less reactive, more thoughtful, more comprehensive in our ability to take what we want and move forward with it. Meditation, transcendental meditation, has been shown by basic research and research done in academic and educational institutions to give rise to a very simple, deep, profound, coherent experience for anybody. And that gives rise to a coherent CEO, which in turn will automatically create a more coherent pattern of thinking and behavior. Whatever you put into the system is what you will get out of the system. If you put coherence and orderliness into the brain and its experiencing function, you will get that out in the classroom. So 10 minutes of meditation in the early morning create a liveliness in the brain fabric that when the child now sits in the class afterwards, they will be more available to learn. Stress, unfortunately, takes the CEO offline. Stress and accumulative stress from many sources actually dumbs us down. Stress takes us more and more offline. Alcohol is one of the most powerful ways our society has developed to handle that growing stress. Kids from the age of 3rd grade and onwards have considerable use of alcohol. It's socially accepted. But did you know that alcohol actually damages the CEO? Happy hour, the use of alcohol is only a tool to gain relief, not to solve any problem. It just turns off your CEO so you forget about your problems. You have not solved them at all. At the same time of forgetting about them and having a momentary relief, you're actually damaging and taking your CEO offline. Not a useful approach. So stress damages our sense of self, the values of our students. They don't develop properly spontaneously. The motivations are crippled. Decisions become more and more risky and life-damaging, and self-control is lost. Transcendental meditation is a time-tested, extensively researched, and very, very practical approach. Here is a picture on the left-hand side of a modeled brain person, and you can see there are little lines between these dots. The dots are sensors to measure the brain wave. The intensity of the color, red in this case, is an indication of how coupled or coherent or integrated one area is with another area, either nearby or at a distance. And you can see that in the prefrontal cortex of this individual, at that moment, their brain is, you could say, relatively, somewhat, a little bit, minimally connected. However, if that individual was to practice the Transcendental Meditation technique, 40 years of research now demonstrate a remarkable shift from a lack of coherence to very high, sustainable, and beneficial levels of EEG coherence, not only in the prefrontal cortex, our CEO, the CEO of every child, but throughout the entire brain. Total brain functioning for total creative potential development. And here is a summary. It may be a little small in your viewing, but if you have a lot of coherence, and this happens through the TM technique, in your CEO, then starting with the upper right, students will be automatically more creative. They'll have more inner orientation and self-esteem. They'll have greater self-development than the average American citizen. They will have less anxiety. They will perform better in school without so much struggle and effort. They'll have more awareness, more neuromuscular efficiency and reflexes. They'll be able to compute things better, more intelligent. They won't be so darn crazy. They'll be more emotionally stable, don't have so many highs, up and lows. They'll just be more easy in this life we have. They'll be able to see and understand and imbibe bigger concepts, more abstract issues. And finally, they'll spontaneously grow in ethical and moral behavior. Not a teachable subject, something that is imbibed in the nature of a growing prefrontal cortex if you give it a chance to become coherent. So, healthy brains are coherent brains. And if you wish to have coherent, healthy brains of your students, then modern science has shown, brain research has shown, that effective education can come about through the implementation of this one simple program to make, to nourish, to complement all your existing programs. And that is the Transcendental Meditation technique. Thank you very much.